once you start traveling, you kind of can't stop because you
Hmm.
realize there's so much more to see. And similar to Keith, I've always had an interest in seeing the world and seeing how, um, first of all, how different the world can be, but also how similar it is. And no matter where you're from in the world, there's community and people and good food. And so just experiencing that and being able to do that together has really been, I think, the reason we want to keep seeing more.
Yeah.
Hey, everybody, it is Mike here, and today on the Globetrotters Guide, we are joined by Canadian travel creators Keith and Dev, a full-time travel couple adventuring across the globe, recently exploring the Philippines and Taiwan. With a growing audience and a love for storytelling, they've built a travel brand that blends cinematic visuals, practical tips, and authentic moments. Dev travels gluten-free, adding an extra layer of creativity and care to their global experience. And together they bring a uniquely Canadian perspective to the world, curious, kind, and always ready for the next adventure. Keith and Dev, hello. Welcome to the Globetrotters Guide.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, thank you so much for having us. We're very excited to be here.
Absolutely.
Absolutely, and so are we. One of my favorite things is getting to talk to creators that have a different point of view in life. And being Canadian, I think, gives us definitely a different point of view on things than, the plethora of American and UK-based, creators. We're Canadian. We're different. We are different.
Yeah.
We're different,
Proud to
eh?
be Canadian, honestly. Yeah. Well said.
Exactly. So what we're going to do is we're going to interview you guys. We're going to start with just some easy questions so that our audiences can get to know you guys. Of course, if you're watching this on the premiere, you can check out their channels. Not right now. Don't check their channels out now. Check them out afterwards at Keith and Dev. If you are listening to this on Spotify or on one of the other streaming services, definitely go onto YouTube and check them out as well. And of course, hey, welcome to my people who are listening to this on Spotify and other places. It's new, it's exciting. We're in the podcast world.
Right on.
I love listening to podcasts, especially about travel. So this is really awesome.
That's huge.
We're very happy to be here.
Awesome. Well, you're in the universe now. So you guys have built a beautiful flow into your travel content, but tell us, what's your why behind becoming full-time creators?
Yeah, it's a good question. I mean, I think for me, it goes back to wanting to really travel and experience the world, like looking at a map as a kid and being like, this place is huge. And I seem to only know about Canada and North America, and I want to go out there. I want to see what's out there. And finally, there was an opportunity for us during the pandemic to save some money and to plan for it. Different jobs, changes in our life, and then an opening of time that allowed for us to finally explore and go do that.
Yeah, and what started as a year of travel has turned into quite a few. And I think what we realized is, I guess that's like the travel bug. That's why they call it a travel bug, is it starts with, once you start traveling, you kind of can't stop because you realize there's so much more to see. And similar to Keith, I've always had an interest in seeing the world and seeing how, um, first of all, how different the world can be, but also how similar it is. And no matter where you're from in the world, there's community and people and good food. And so just experiencing that and being able to do that together has really been, I think, the reason we want to keep seeing more.
Yeah. And then initially too, just filming was just for family and maybe making a business out of it and seeing where things go. We had never filmed before. We're not videographers. We're never in film, but
We're trying to get better.
we're slowly getting better. So let's just capture our adventures. Let's film the whole story.
Share it also, like, again, being Canadians is another thing, is um even in school, like growing up, you learn about Canada, which is awesome, but you don't learn too much, honestly, about the rest of the world. So a big part of it too was showing other Canadians all that's out there, and that there is lots of good in the world was a big thing, because we always hear about the negatives going on in the world. And so the big thing was also showing people that everywhere there are kind people.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
For sure. And I totally resonate with that too. Our first YouTube videos were when we went to Ghana, Africa. And we went there for my sister's wedding, and it was a total accident. Just happened to be that I happened to have enough money to go, and we just like up and went. And I thought, oh, we can, we could put this on YouTube. Sure, why not, for other people to see? And people ask me the weirdest questions when they heard I was going to Africa. Like
Yeah.
somebody once asked me if they have flushing toilets, and I'm like, what?
Yeah,
What do you mean, do they have flushing
You don't
toilets?
know.
No, and that's the thing, is just it's a cool way. Like, we're both, I went to school for teaching, so like education is really important to me. So just even also through our videos, even just teaching people a little bit about other parts of the world is something that also I'm really passionate about, and I think it's really cool. So
I just love learning too.
yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely. And speaking of learning, and I mean, I know this because I've watched your videos, but for those who maybe haven't watched your videos, what does a typical travel day look like for you both? Because I know like people will often look at travel videos or travel YouTubers and they think, oh, it's just all glamour and wonderful. And they just wake up every day and do something new and cool and amazing and so on and so forth. But give us the dirt. What's the reality?
The reality, yeah, it's not like waking up, feeling super fit, having a cappuccino, going for a surf. That's
I would
kind of like not
say
reality.
the reality is there's not too much structure, as in every day can be very different.
Unpredictability.
Yeah, is like being okay with the unknown, but also like some days you're gonna wake up and have something planned and it's gonna be like one of the coolest days of your life, and then the next day could be very average or very boring. Or like the reality is we have days fully on our computers when we're planning or working on videos, and so the reality is that it's all over the place.
It
Like
is still
it's like
still
a
a
roller
roller coaster,
coaster.
right?
Yeah.
It's still up and down, and yeah, I mean, to travel full time or to travel for a long time, it does take a lot of planning and prep. So it does take up a lot of our time as well. And then
Yeah.
there's the editing and filming and logistics and working with different brands and companies. So
But if you were, I guess, an average day, we'll give you two examples of a day. If it's a Keith and Dev work day, which for every video we film, we probably have at least one work day of planning and editing and that kind of stuff.
Probably one filming day, one work day, and then one travel day. It's kind of how it works.
Yeah. And so if it's a work day, depending where we are, we would wake up, have coffee, whether that was an instant coffee or we're treating ourselves to a nice coffee if there's a cafe nearby.
Anything.
Like breakfast, same thing, whether we're making our own breakfast or going to get food. A few hours on the computer. We try and get a bit of movement in, whether that's just going for a walk or if we have access to a gym or some form of exercise.
Or just being outside is enough.
Yeah.
If it's not crazy hot.
Making sure, and then another period of work, and then more food, and then
food again.
Oftentimes, like our first year of travel, we actually read a book. Like we read books together as like something to do together that wasn't being on our computers. We both have Kindles, so like in the evenings we try to have a bit of time that's not working if it's a work day. And then if it's an adventure day, we usually try and have those planned the day before. So it's like get up again, have coffee,
our things are charged, we're ready to go,
and
then we
grab all of our gear and
get picked up or meet someone somewhere and start adventuring and filming and eating food or whatever we're doing.
Yep. And again, just like really being in the
Present.
moment, like super in the moment. And then same with if it's a travel day, it could be you're waking up at like 4 a.m. to go catch a bus, to catch a train, to catch a plane. And our big thing for travel days is like, even though you have these plans, you never know what's going to happen. So first of all, give yourself extra time, but also be okay
that things can be unknown.
If things don't change or don't go as planned.
Travel days are actually exhausting because even if it's an easy pickup, drop off, or one bus, two bus, you don't know what's going to happen. You don't know who you're going to meet or what situation is going to come up.
So just being very okay with the unknown. And that's something that travel has taught me, because I was very much a person of routine and schedules. Again, I worked at camp my whole life, and then I was a teacher. So it's very much routine and schedules. So for me, that's something travel has taught me, is being okay with the unknown, which I think is good.
Sure, that makes a lot of sense. And being kind of the single dad, I have to be kind of the very present person, but also the like super planner, right? And I'm not designed for planning myself, but it's something that I've definitely had to learn how to be like, okay, we've got this plan and then this plan and then this plan. So then when they don't happen, I kind of get a little bit like heebie-jeebies. Like, this isn't working out.
Okay, let's find something else to do.
But that's how things go.
Yeah,
Yeah, exactly. No, I totally get it. So let me ask you this. Like I noted, you guys are Canadian, and there are not a lot of Canadian travel content creators. So, Canada's not always known for producing travel creators. So, how did growing up in Canada and growing up Canadian shape your mindset about travel?
That's
Yeah.
a good question. Like, I think the first thing I'll say is like, I feel very grateful to have grown up in Canada because what traveling has taught me is first of all, there's so much beauty in the world, but being Canadian, honestly, I'm obviously biased, but we have a lot of beautiful nature here,
Hmm.
which I guess maybe I took for granted before we went traveling. And every time we come home, we're always just like, we feel so happy to be back. But I think the big thing was Canadians, for the most part, are very open and kind people. So I think it gave like at least the ones I've interacted with, and so I think it gave me the perspective to like go into things with an open heart and to think the best of people, if that
Hmm.
makes sense. And again, I know I can't speak for all Canadians, and again, it's the people I grew up with and grew up around, but they they taught me to go into things with an open mind and that people are kind,
Hmm.
and that I think is what Canada has kind of helped me in terms of like
Yeah, people are so
seeing the
open and
world.
like it's so multicultural here.
That too, Canada's so
So we're kind
multicultural.
of exposed to things. But what I was going to say is different though, because I grew up. I'm French Canadian and Anglophone, so I'm from Quebec and Ontario, pretty much half and half. And so I got exposure to two different cultures that are very different growing up. And I lived in Europe when I was a kid because I'm from a military family, so I got exposure to Portuguese actually a culture, and being in Europe and traveling there. And so just I mean living between Quebec and Ontario growing up, I think was enough to be like, the world's so different and so unique, and I want to see more and explore more. And then having time in Europe as a kid, I was just exposed to more. And I was like, wow, there is just so much out there. And so I don't know. I mean, I think Canada in itself, going back to the multiculturalism, we're exposed to it. It's around, and I don't know. And we're outdoorsy as Canadians. Like we're really outdoorsy. Like let's be honest, we go camping for vacation. Like
Yeah.
there's more bugs here. I like to say this is a fun stat. I swear there are more bugs here in like our friend's backyard in Ontario than there are in the Peruvian Amazon, and that's like 100% real.
Bugs that bite.
Bugs that bite,
So,
like more mosquitoes. There's more mosquitoes here than in the Peruvian Amazon. Open the
Yeah,
door here for dinner and let them
yeah,
in.
for sure.
So we're exposed to nature, we're exposed to this environment, and I think makes us more able to adapt, perhaps.
yeah.
Yeah.
Sure. And now this question isn't on the list, but it's something that I have noticed. And I mean, when I was younger, I did a lot more travel, and then I got married and barely travel at all. And now I'm trying to get back into it with my kids, kind of post marriage and all that kind of stuff. But when I was younger, I noticed that there was a big difference between how people treated you if they knew you were Canadian
Mhm.
versus if they knew that you were quote unquote American.
Yeah.
And like, do you still find that people are like, okay, I know you're American or I think you're American versus I know or think you're Canadian, and how they
Some
kind of
people
treat you as that?
some people do guess it right.
Well, I was gonna say more though. We get a lot more people as soon as they hear our accents being
Mhm.
like, "Oh, so you're American?" And we're like, "No, we're Canadian." And their first response is, "Oh, sorry."
Yeah, I was like,
like,
"Oh, apologies.
like,
We didn't mean to say that," because
like,
they know that,
especially the climate, what's going on right now.
especially right now in 2025.
But we got a lot. But we did, yeah. This trip, we actually did get somebody from the UK who was speaking with us and was like, "Oh, you're Canadian," and we're like,
Yeah.
"Yes."
Yeah, right on.
Like
Yeah.
usually people, because of our accent, think we're American, but as honestly, as soon as we correct them, and I don't know if it's because we correct them and they feel bad, but people are always like, "Oh, we're so sorry. Like we
Mhm.
love Canada," like that kind of thing.
Sometimes we say we're Canadian, and then they go,
Right
"Oh,"
away,
like
yeah.
because we're like introducing ourselves, and they're like, "Oh yeah, thank goodness." So like, "Yeah, what do you think of your neighbors?" And it's like, oh, "Okay, yeah."
And to be honest, like also we've met like when we meet Americans who are traveling, the first thing that they say to us always is, "Oh,
Hmm.
we're really sorry."
Like that
Which
happened to us a few times.
yeah, like on this trip, which we're like, we understand it's you don't control what everything, you know what I mean? Like you also have to remember there are obviously lots of really great Americans out there too, and they can't control what's
For
going
sure.
on in their country fully. So
Yeah, the ones that are traveling are the ones that are pretty adventurous and open minded too. So we've met some good people while traveling.
Mhm.
Yeah. I found that too. I find, and I was looking at stats the other day, and it's something like 70 to 80% of people never leave their home state or province. And I
Yeah.
think that getting out and traveling by default changes your point of view. Like you can't leave the country, and or let me rephrase, you can't leave the continent without
Mm.
being changed in some way, because it really opens your eyes to a completely different way of how people think and react and live their lives that I think in North America we often miss, or worse than miss, we kind of misconstrue based on media and such like that. We get this
Well
one
said.
side of, like people have one thing that they think of Africa. They have one thing that they think of Europeans. They have one thing that they think of Asians, right? Because that's what kind of media feeds us. And then we go
That
and we
kind of
leave
exposure.
leave our country and we see that, oh my gosh, right? To say Asian means, 100 different things, right? To say
Mhm.
European means 100 different things, right? To
Hmm.
mean African doesn't necessarily mean what World Vision shows us, stuff like
Yeah,
that.
exactly.
Yeah. Oh,
Exactly.
exactly. You just hit the nail
Like
on the
that was,
head.
yeah, perfectly said, and we totally agree. And again, like especially like Keith grew up living in other places where I didn't have that. I was in the same home until like my parents moved, I guess, when I was in university. But like, so for me, traveling also was, and I did do a bit of traveling in university through my undergrad, but like that was my first exposure to exactly that. Like it made me want to just see more and more of the world.
Yeah, just a slight exposure leaving the continent. No,
Yeah.
well said. That was
Yeah.
perfect. It's
Mhm.
true. Some people have certain ideas and they need to change
Awesome.
those
Like mic drop.
ideas.
I'm done here. That's it. We're done.
Yeah.
Okay.
Cool. And I think
Yeah.
we kind of answered the next question I had, which was about Canadian identity and kind of influencing how you approach different cultures.
Yeah.
I think we kind of answered that perfectly. But you guys have been through Southeast Asia recently.
Hmm.
So how do you balance kind of showcasing a location, like being in a beautiful location, like being in Thailand, being in Angkor Wat, where you're just like jaw drop, oh my gosh, right?
Hmm.
Also versus just enjoying it for yourself. Like how do you balance the two between, like you said, being present when you're doing something but also being filmmakers and showing it in a way that's going to be interesting and compelling for your viewers?
And that's a real question, because that's the reality of things, right? When we're filming and we're adventuring and we're experiencing something where it's a lot of work to find that balance. Admittedly, I'm the
Keith films a lot more than I do,
the
so I
sort of like
think,
chief filmer.
yeah, and I'm the chief editor, but so I think that's where, for I think you more than me, because I on filming days Keith is very much like always thinking about the best shot, and sometimes I have to be like to him, just take a step back for a second
Hmm.
to like be where we are if things are getting stressed. But I think for the most part,
I've
you're
gotten better at it for
yeah,
sure.
you're pretty good at being like, wow, this is amazing. Because when we started making videos, the reason was to just like to bring the audience with us, bring our family with us. And so the idea was it shouldn't be that different from what we're experiencing, because we want to give people the real experience of how we're seeing it. And yes, we do have to talk to the
But the
camera a
reality
lot
of things
more.
is that it is quite
Time
it's
consuming.
time consuming, but it's hard to be raw when filming, because capturing the moment as is and also making sure that you're saying something that is relevant to the previous shot or the conversation that you're having with the audience, it's got to be fluid, and so
Or
there's a lot to
like
think about at the same time.
lighting and stuff
Or
like that.
lighting, and like, so we get better at it. You juggle it, and between shots, between thinking, you compartmentalize and then enjoy the moment. Put that aside for a second, enjoy, even if it's like a minute. Wow,
Mm-hmm.
cool. Take a second. Maybe have a couple moments though filming, and then go back to it.
But I also think like we do still enjoy filming, and I think
Absolutely, absolutely.
the filming also makes us first there's so many experiences that we've had that are because we're filming it. Like let's
Like
say we wake up tired in the morning and we're like, if maybe we were just backpacking, we would have been like, we'll skip it. But we're like, we're doing it for the
we're
video.
doing it.
We have to go do it. And then we're like,
Give us a
that was
goal.
amazing.
Yeah,
Like
it
that kind of
makes
thing.
us go out there and be productive and have a purpose. But
But
yeah,
I guess to answer your original question is it's a work in progress, and it's something you have to be conscious of and make sure you're thinking about where you are and what you're doing as well as filming.
it's a balancing
Sure.
act. Yeah.
Sure. And I mean, I'm totally taking notes here because I mean, as we kind of head off on our whole thing, and I'm the main photographer with 3 kids, and I kind of also have to balance, wow, my kids are doing this blah, 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 really cool thing. And also, I need to film my kids doing this blah, blah, blah,
Yeah.
really cool thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it helps if you say, hey, listen, it can't be perfect. It's the moment. You're capturing what you can,
Mhm.
and also trying to capture it for yourself mentally. So it's
Yeah.
just you have to be okay not
For it
making
not
things
being
perfect
perfect. Yeah.
as well.
Yeah, for sure, and that makes a lot of sense to me personally because yes, I'm on YouTube, and I'm on YouTube mostly because my kids wanted to be on YouTube, right? They
That's
actually like when we were doing it, I sat them down. I'm like, we did Ghana, and we didn't really film it with any sort of purpose at all. I literally just had my camera, no gimbal, no microphone, no nothing, just literally my camera, trying to hold it steady while stuff was going on, right? And
yeah.
then
Yeah.
afterwards, we put it on, and I sat my kids down. I'm like, we could keep doing this. And they're like, yeah, let's keep doing this. I think my daughter, especially, kind of figured she was going to suddenly be YouTube famous. And oddly
That's
enough, she has her own little fan club. Like, there are
Oh,
people who watch
great.
videos just for her,
I
which
love that.
Oh,
is kind of like proud daddy moment, and then also kind of scary.
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, it's
Fair enough.
true. A
Fair
little bit of
enough.
a.
Fair enough. That's really awesome.
Hmm. No, it's really
for
cool.
it's very cool, but yeah, no, that totally makes sense and tracks. So just like I said, taking my notes here so I can
Yeah, I mean,
you know
honestly, we don't have a really answer for you, but
Because it's ever changing
because
too.
ever changing, and
yeah, for
for
And
sure.
sure.
depending, especially in just like quickly in the travel niche can be like so different. Like one day you're
Yeah,
filming um, a cooking class, the next day you're hiking up a mountain, the next day
and
you're walking through a city, right?
something can be
So,
more
Yeah,
cinematic or more raw or rough or like a
or a
fast
travel
paced.
day.
If you have a partnership for us or like you're doing a food tour and things are happening quickly, then you just got to capture it.
So
Like you can't really
exactly,
think
there's no
about
like right
the
recipe.
lighting. You just got
Yeah.
to do it.
Yeah. So
for
it's
sure.
about,
Eh,
yeah.
For sure. And speaking of that, and having like lots of things happening in partnerships and all this kind of stuff that you guys do, what has been kind of like your biggest logistical challenge on the road? Is it
Mhm.
like the language issues? Is it transit, safety, like how you get around, where you stay? Like what are the things that actually cause you the biggest challenges as you are kind of going around doing what you do?
I feel like that's a
Mhm.
really great
It's a good
question,
question.
first of
I think I
all.
have an answer, to
Okay,
be
you can
honest.
do yours and I'll do
I was gonna
mine.
say sometimes you need to book certain big ticket items ahead of time, and there's a lot of work around it. So, say for our trip to South America, we did Ecuador, Peru, Amazon experience, and the Machu Picchu Salcante trek experience. Our trips kind of revolved around that, and they had to because they're big ticket items, and you have to, rain or was it rain or shine is the expression. You're doing that those days, and there's no flexibility. So it's like working with other things that are set in stone. Because usually being flexible is really beneficial for us
For our
long term
kind of
travel.
travel, because yeah, we go on for a long period
But
of time.
sometimes we're pretty rigid. Sometimes we have an itinerary and we have to stick with it, and like it gets more stressful, obviously.
Wait, so what I was gonna say, I guess, is going off that is whenever we go for a trip, it's kind of like a puzzle where we don't quite have all the pieces
Hmm.
yet because we do like to be not fully planned out. I am a planner, and so I would be way less stressed if we were all planned out. But what we've learned in traveling is that you meet people or they give you suggestions. So sometimes it's nice to have that flexibility because you might have not known about something until you're in a
And that
country.
happens a lot.
And so, like, for example, we just, spoiler, we're home. We just got home, like literally just got home. But we just were away for 4 months. And when we left, we had our first, we knew we were going to be in Sri Lanka for 1 month, but we only had our first week planned. And so
Yeah,
a lot of times the logistical thing is there's so many options
you
and
got to
it's
pick.
narrowing them down. And I guess it's putting
Yeah,
that puzzle together, how it works best for you. And like Keith said, whether it's a something that needs to be booked ahead of time or you go somewhere and it's high season, so all of a sudden it's like you need to book your
there's no accommodations
accommodations
left, and then you got to book them.
ahead of time, and so it's you don't know that, and like we do, so there's a lot of research involved to make sure that we don't go somewhere and we're like, oh no, there's
we're
no
wasting our time here,
or
or
there's
like
no accommodations left, or
yeah.
yeah,
So it's like putting the pieces together of
as you
planning.
go. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the
I
hard
hope
part.
that I hope that makes sense.
No,
Yeah, I mean,
that makes total sense, and it's a perfect segue into another logistical thing that you have, Dev, and that is that you travel gluten free.
mhm.
So maybe talk a bit about navigating kind of having food sensitivities and food requirements, especially in places where maybe English isn't so common or food
Mhm.
labeling is vague or they've never heard of things like gluten
Gluten
free
free.
or what that even is or means.
Depends a lot.
Yeah, like I would say depending where you travel, it can be a lot easier or a lot harder. I think the biggest thing is obviously ahead of time. I know there's certain things I can eat. Like for example, in Asia as a whole, there's a lot of rice dishes, which is nice because I know there's going to be carbohydrates that I can eat. Whereas in our first year travel when we went to Turkey, it was like bread on, like it was a lot. French fries were the only really starch I could have because for some reason there was a lot of barley and not a lot of rice, so I just had a lot of French fries when we were there. So I guess like the big thing is being like flexible with what I can eat, or I'm okay with eating the same thing, like relatively obviously with vegetables and protein and stuff, but similar things over and over again. So when we go somewhere new and I find something that I know I can eat, I tend
Hmm.
to eat it more than once.
Hmm.
So I love food, but it does make what I eat a little more limited because of that. The other thing that is really helpful is we do have Google Translate, and honestly, Keith is really helpful at for helping me talk to people about it because I don't know why I can be shy, and he'll
Yeah,
be the one being like, he'll like show his phone, like we always look up the word for gluten free and
or
whatever that
flour, or
or
like
yeah,
wheat.
what wheat flour is or bread, because like sometimes they don't know what gluten free is, or even like flour. There's I can have corn
There's tons
flour,
of
I can
different
have
types of
rice
flours.
flour. So like being like wheat and bread and like figuring out what that is in the language, and then showing it on our phone, even showing a picture sometimes we have to
Like
do.
sometimes they don't know what wheat really is. It's like, oh, I don't know. Like, how do you describe that? Even with
Yeah.
the translated word, you're like a flour type.
Hmm.
So then you try to find alternatives. Like, is it corn? Is it, chickpea?
Yeah. And like we have found now, if we're working with or just not working with, if we're doing like more of a touristy thing, um, tourist organizations are now a lot better with food intolerance. Honestly, in the last few years, we've been traveling.
Hmm.
So like if we say like, oh, Devon's gluten free, they'll have like we did a hike, and like even Salcante that we did, they had a full gluten free menu for me, which is amazing. And then the other thing is now we just know like in Asia, most places have like vermicelli noodles or rice noodles. So like ahead of time, we'll be like, can you make it with these kind of noodles?
Hmm.
And for the most part, there's been a few times where my food comes and Keith has to eat it because we're like, they didn't understand. I need to order something else.
Yeah, and sometimes like it's like we're about to order the same thing. I'm like, I'm gonna order the other dish because it might be safer.
Just in
And then
case.
turns out hers is
Gluten, and we
gluten
have
and
to
mine's gluten
switch.
free. So just to you know
Or
lower the
and
risks.
I am not celiac. Like I do react to having gluten, and it doesn't make me feel good. Like it'd be different if it was an anaphylactic thing, but like because
Hmm.
there have been times where we think we're in the clear, and then the next day I'll have a face rash, or
And feel
my
uncomfortable.
stomach will be bloated and hurting, and I'll be like, well, it wasn't gluten free. But that's just something that you have to deal with because you're traveling.
Yeah, you figure it out.
But
You
again, if you're
yeah.
celiac, you would have to like maybe I'm not as careful. I am very careful, but like you would have to have a lot of a stricter diet, I guess.
Like save soy sauce, right? In Taiwan or Japan or Hong Kong, it's everywhere. And a
Mhm.
lot of people can't have soy sauce because there's wheat in it. So
Mhm.
you have to have your gluten-free soy sauce. So then if you're celiac in that case, then it's because you avoid it,
I try to avoid it,
but
but
you
then
have it
sometimes
in
it
like
might
fried
be in like
rice
a
or
tiny
something.
bit or whatever.
And so
Yeah.
like yeah, it's a difficult thing. You have to even more shopping around on Google Maps, right?
Or just
Looking for
like
reviews in restaurants,
I like grocery stores. Sometimes I'm just like I'm just going to go get food at a grocery
grocery store
store
dinner.
because that's easier for me,
Hmm.
which is
Sure.
Food can
And
be a
that
challenge, honestly. Yeah.
yeah.
Sure. And how do you deal with it? Like, once you're away from the wonderful Canadian free healthcare system,
Yeah.
for my American friends, it's free, completely free.
Yeah,
You don't pay anything.
that is
But
amazing.
Yeah.
but once you're away from that and you do have, days, where you're not feeling well or you need, medication or whatever, how do you deal with that when you're kind of so far away from home?
Like we have travel insurance, so whenever we leave the country, we always make sure we have medical and travel insurance. We use Safety Wing. We
Yeah, it's a travel medical
Yeah,
insurance.
we really like it. But so we have that option. Luckily, we haven't had to, knock on wood, go to the hospital since our first year of travel,
Hmm.
which has been really nice. The other thing is like local pharmacies can also be really helpful and
Great.
are
Yeah.
usually, we've been to a pharmacy a few times to pick up a few things, and we haven't even put it through insurance because it's been super reasonably priced. Like honestly, in Asia, especially,
India and Philippines have great pharmacies, and you don't
yeah,
expect it, in the middle of nowhere.
and they're usually like pharmacists, honestly, that we've run into
And they know
do
what they're
speak a
doing.
bit of English and are
Yeah.
very helpful at figuring out what you need, whether it's for your sore
Probiotics
stomach. Yeah.
or something. Yeah. I mean,
So that's been
it's
really
there.
helpful. But again, having travel medical insurance, I think, is very
But one
important
thing
if you're gone
too,
for a long period of time.
I was going to add is like we have a pharmacy kit.
Oh,
We
yeah.
travel with a kit of things that we usually need or use. Antibiotics, like Tylenol, so like acetaminophen, ibuprofen, sinus and cold kind of medication, gravel for nausea, all these things that you end up using, and then it turns out you use them more than you think.
Yeah, we definitely would recommend. We also have like a packing list if people are curious, that we can send to people
It's in
with
our packing list.
all of the things we have in our pharmacy. Because, and by antibiotics in Canada, you can get, it's for like food poisoning or bacterial
With
infections,
the
is,
doctor's note.
yeah, like, and the doctor gave it to us, but that's what the antibiotics are for, is for, because we've had it before and had to go to the hospital, but now we have it with us. So if we now know what it is. So if we need to take the antibiotics, we can.
Like one thing too, sorry to get a little too much personal information, but like a UTI, if you have that, you need antibiotics right
Right
away.
away, yeah.
So Devin
I carry
has some in her little pharmacy box, and
just
like
in case we
that's
need
crucial,
them. Because sometimes, like, you're up a
You're far.
mountain or you're on a long, what is it called? Like a boat for
Yeah, a
days on
cruise or
end in
something.
Thailand, and you get a UTI and you need medication right away.
Yes,
Like,
that
it can
happens.
happen.
Things like that happen.
So I think it's very important to carry your own medication with you as well.
Mhm.
And you
No,
can. It's totally
that
doable.
that makes a lot of sense. And I mean, I guess it's something too, as like guys, we wouldn't think about what if I get a UTI. And guys can get UTIs, just by the
Yeah,
way,
yeah,
right? But
Yeah,
it's not
exactly. Not as
but it's
common,
not
but
so
it's possible.
yeah,
Yeah.
no,
And
and it's
so,
just sorry, go ahead. Go ahead.
no, that's all I was gonna say, is it's super helpful and has been kind of a savior for us, is to be our own like
be prepared and
pharmacy and be prepared
self-sustaining,
before we even have to deal with other.
a little self-sufficient, but also like we said, pharmacies in these countries and
Can be
Southeast
helpful too
Asia
if you need
can
to
be
go.
really good too. So don't be afraid of going out there and getting probiotics or whatever you need.
That is amazing information. And speaking of amazing information, if you are enjoying this episode, don't forget to like and comment and subscribe to our channel, The Wander Crew, but also check out Keith and Dev's channel at Keith and Dev on
Hmm.
YouTube and Instagram as well. Clearly, as you can see just by listening to them, they have such a wealth of knowledge and information. So definitely check them out. And like I said, like this video and subscribe to our channel. Also, check out our Patreon at patreon.com/the Wander Crew. We've got lots of great benefits there, especially as we move forward to our trips and going off to Jamaica and onwards from there. So do check that out. We also have a free Discord community. You can check that out, bit.ly/join1177, where we chat about travel tips, tricks, especially from my point of view as a co-parent. There's lots of little things that you wouldn't think about before you go to travel. So we've got chats about that as well. And like I said, just lastly, make sure to check out Keith and Dev. They're on YouTube and on Instagram as well. And yeah, lots of good information. I'm just enjoying this so much. You guys are absolutely great. And Amazing. So let's get back to it, and let me ask you this question: is there like a trip or a moment that kind of changed everything for you guys? Like a moment where you guys were like, this travel thing, this is the thing we need to do with our lives.
I'd like to think that there's like moments like that. I feel like I'm always looking for those moments, but they kind of just happen over time in a way. I find, for me at least, like one thing leads to the next, but there's no like pivotal. That was it. At least for me. What about you?
Yeah, like I guess
Like I don't know.
before we started traveling together, in university I went to India for like an internship thing, and that was the first time I traveled, I guess, solo, and also like without we I'd done some traveling with my family, which is amazing, but that was the first time I like saw the world, I guess, kind of on my own, and that was kind of a like, whoa, I want to see more of this. And then I guess our first year of travel was
Mm-hmm.
together was amazing.
Epic. Yeah.
We saw only really Europe and a little. We just went to Morocco, so a little bit of
North
Africa.
Africa. Yeah.
But I think we got home, and honestly, like we were so excited to be home, but we were also like, we're not done.
We're going.
We're going again.
People
Like
were asking us like, okay, so like, what's next? But then now people are asking us,
where are you
where are you
going
going
next?
to next?
So that's kind of been a cool transition. But I think again, it's like he said, it's not maybe one specific moment as it is all the little moments that
Add up.
and change who you are as a person, but also reiterate who you are as a person.
Yeah, like one moment, maybe like a classic checkpoint would be, making $2 off of YouTube AdSense, for the first time. And it's like, cool, look at that, we're making internet money. That's great. That pushes us forward. Or wind back the clock a little bit and getting a partnership with the company in the Canary Islands when we had 200 subscribers. And it's like, oh my gosh,
we can do
we
this.
can kind of do this. And then next thing you know, upping the value of our partnerships or the business deals or landing actual integrated ads with certain brands. And then those moments, it's like, oh my gosh, okay, let's keep pushing. Let's keep traveling. And then travel as a whole just doesn't get old.
Yeah, and I was going to say, and that's on like more of the YouTube business side of things, which is one side. And then the other side is just, the more you see of the world,
the more you see, the more you do.
See.
Yeah.
And there's just so much beauty in the world that
a lot of beautiful moments. Honestly, I'm happy we capture our videos because it also helps us have all these memories of these memories together.
Mm-hmm. That makes a lot of sense, and I mean, I'll echo that too, because on the business side, we got our first sponsorship with Shirella Inn in Jamaica when we were at, I think, 320 subscribers, and I was like, a full hotel and everything, like all inclusive, like for us. Thank you.
Yeah, really.
Like it's a little bit of confidence.
No, it's amazing.
I was like, yeah, no, go ahead.
It makes it seem like, no, I was just like, it feels, it's surreal. And like, even sometimes now when we're bigger, like you still like keeping it real, like you still get a lot of no's and like people reach out to you, but you also have to do a lot of reaching out and you still get it on no's, but you got to remember from where you came from and how far you've come. And also what the main, like we also have to remind ourselves too, the main reason we're doing this is because we want to see the world. Like we love sharing.
100%.
That's like, priority one.
We love sharing our experiences with everybody, and we would love to be able to keep sharing our experiences with everybody. But like, we don't want to, because again, the age we're at right now, a lot of the people around us who we love, but are,
have friends and family
have like full-time jobs or more, I guess, traditional full-time jobs, or maybe our age of people are now having babies and
buying their long-term home.
Well, yeah, those kind of things. And it's just, we don't want to, sometimes you're like, oh, are we like behind because we're doing this? But we're not. Like
it's our own thing. That's
all. We love experiencing the world and traveling and sharing it with our community that we have. And it's just a different type of lifestyle than maybe we would have thought we had when we were younger. That's all.
Yeah, fair enough. And trust me, coming from somebody like me who's had the kids and all that, I feel like you guys are ahead, not behind.
Yeah, thanks.
It's just a different
it's just,
different type of life.
To each their own, right?
And we do, like, I think that's something we want in our cards in the future. We're just not quite there yet. We want to keep doing this for, and who knows, maybe like you're showing us that you can still do it.
Yeah, traveling with kids is totally
really
possible.
Cool too.
Difficult.
Yeah, it's totally possible. I mean, it's more expensive, but it's totally possible.
It's
more expensive, a whole different ballgame. It's possible. People do it for sure.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
maybe that'd be something down the road too. Who knows?
yeah, absolutely. Very, very cool. So let's go to what I like to call the speed round. I need a name for this. I need a TWC themed name for this section, but it's our speed round. So the aim of this is just whatever is the first answer that comes off the top of your head, and we'll go through them and we'll just have a little bit of fun. All right.
Okay,
Okay.
sounds
So
good.
thing number one, and I know you guys are like the king and queen of packing. In fact, the first video that you guys will see if you go to their site right now is their what we pack. But
Yes.
what is the thing that you always forget?
Well, that's really good.
Yeah, it's a tough question.
I would say for me, gluten-free snacks. I always, before we leave on our next trip, I'm always like, I gotta bring like protein bars or something just for like Keith can get like a pastry at any time. That's not something I can do. And every time we're on the trip and Keith gets a nice cheap pastry, I'm like,
Hmm.
dang, I wish I brought my snacks because I always say I'm going to and I never do. So that would be mine.
I feel like there's no like small thing, but maybe like every time we go on a different trip, it might our clothes might change. And so a certain trip, I'm like, oh, I missed those shorts. I should have brought those shorts. And it's like the next trip, like I bring those, but I don't bring the long sleeve. And I'm like, oh man, I should have brought that long sleeve. So it changes every time, but
Because depending on the
depending on the
climate.
climate, right?
And
So
because we're carry on only, we have to be
we
very
limit.
specific with what we bring.
So it's kind of hard to pick and choose your wardrobe, but I find myself going like, oh, I think I missed those, here and there.
But I know for you, Keith, you never forget the bandana, right?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, bandana. I have the bandana. Don't forget the antibiotics too. That's a running joke because I seem to
Get
get
sick a
food
lot.
poisoning and sick often. So
But I have to say, the amount of times I get like, Dev, have you seen my bandana? Like that's the one thing. Like he never loses, but he's always like, because he doesn't keep it, I think, in the same spot.
yeah, it does move around.
So he's
Jeez, I didn't
always
even think of that.
stressed that he's lost it. And I'm like,
Yeah.
dude, it's your bag. I have not touched your bag. But I
do ask these questions a lot. Where's
yeah.
this?
Where's
that?
the bandana? I'm like, dude, I didn't pack your bag. You have to find it.
Yeah, actually, so I think last trip I didn't bring a tennis ball with me. I use a tennis ball to massage my back here and there. Kind of a funny little thing. It's really really practical when you have a backpack on your back and you're waiting for hours and you have a knot in your back. But I forgot it on one trip and I was like, man, I missed that little tennis ball, little massage ball. So I bring it around all the time now.
There you go. Very, very
Oh,
cool.
it's not very speedy. We'll try and be faster on the next one.
Holy smokes, yeah, that's not fast.
No, it's totally all right. I love
You gotta
these answers.
ground it
I love it when
slow.
people have lots to say, so it's awesome. All right.
Too much,
Who's the
too much.
better packer? Or sorry, who's the better planner?
I think Devin's a better planner.
Yeah,
But
I
we
would
both
say I
we
am.
co-plan.
Yeah, I would say I'm better at being more, I guess, efficient. Like,
Okay, here we go.
no,
I'm
I
kidding.
was just gonna say, like, Keith, like, will look into every detail or every possible option. I'm like, if I find an Airbnb that I'm like, this looks
It's
really
done.
nice, let's book it.
And I'm
he's
like, wait, hold
we
up.
need to explore all our options. I'm like, no, let's do it. Let's book this one.
Yeah, she's definitely more efficient. I like weighing all the options, I guess. I have my my advantages, my skills, I guess.
He books all of our flights. For some reason, I get anxious booking flights. I don't know
think
why.
I'm better at doing the overall
So-
logistical itinerary, like the countries and like the whole big picture, and then she's good at the
accommodations and like little things
Yeah.
booking. So it's a
the
team
day-to-day.
effort. Day to day, I guess that's a good way to put it.
Cool. Awesome. All right. Window or aisle seat?
Window for
Both
me.
of you
for
can
sure.
answer.
I always have to take the middle because he always gets the window or the aisle. So
Okay,
I'm
I
a
don't want
middle
people
gal.
to think that I'm not giving her the window and she really
But-
wants it.
No, but it makes sense because I'm smaller. So that's just like I don't know. It was like kind of an unwritten rule when we started traveling. Is
It's
I would
more-
always take the middle seat.
I prefer the window because I just love looking out the
Well,
window of
and
the plane
he also
and
films,
film.
so he'll be
Yep.
the one filming at the window. So
But
that's just
admittedly, if we do have an aisle and a middle seat, then I'll take the aisle because the planes are tight. Devin
Yeah.
takes it for the team.
But I
Yeah.
think I would pick window too if we had like if we both read window seats. I'd pick
Window for sure.
for sure over aisle. Yeah, because you can always tell the person to move if you have to pee, but you can look at the window. And
Yeah,
that's
the
pretty.
window's huge.
Yeah.
And you
And I
can lean
feel
on.
like the window seat gives you just that little bit more of a space.
Yeah,
It's slightly
exactly.
more comfortable.
Wall to
I
lean on,
agree.
and yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I agree. And here's a tip for parents. Most airlines will actually let you choose your seats for free, even if they are not airlines that actually do that, if you're traveling as a family with young kids. So, like, for instance, when I go to Jamaica with WestJet, WestJet, unless you're doing their premium economy and up, they don't let you choose your seats without, paying for it.
Yeah.
But if you're with a family with young kids, they will actually let you choose your seats ahead of time. So you can guarantee
cool.
yourself windows.
No,
That's good to know. Yeah,
that
we
is
didn't know that.
awesome.
That
That's a
is
cool
really cool.
fact.
So there you go. This is why you should have kids, people, so you can get the windows
Yeah,
every
you can
time.
pick your
Yeah, you
seat.
think of the money you save over the long run if having to buy seats, right?
Exactly. Oh man. All right. Dream destination that you have not been to yet.
3,
Ooh,
2, 1.
New
New
Zealand.
Zealand.
Well,
Yeah.
think about that for a second. Jeez.
Yeah.
No, we know it's top of our list.
Yeah, we really want to go to New Zealand at some point. We don't know when we'll go, but it's definitely up there for us.
Yeah, it's just the hiking, the adventure, the climate.
Nature.
The nature and the space and the adventure.
Mm-hmm.
Got to go soon.
Yeah.
At some point.
I did an interview was it the last interview with a travel couple, and they did New Zealand, and they went to all the places that Lord of the Rings was filmed at, like the Hobbit
Mhm.
Village, and where they
Mhm.
filmed Mount Mordor and all that kind of stuff. And it was very, very cool. Like New Zealand is so picturesque.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I definitely don't blame you guys for wanting to go there. It is on my list 100% too. It's just so far away.
It is so far.
Exactly.
Yeah. We'll make it there one day.
One day, yeah. And it's more like Canadian prices. We still try and stick to some budget destinations.
I have a thicker
No,
wall for that one.
that makes a lot of sense.
Mhm.
All right. How about this? Your worst travel mishap or oops moment while abroad?
Okay, I think I thought about this a little bit earlier.
We were the
There's
same one.
yeah.
You
So
go
there
ahead.
was one. There was one time that I did I booked a flight, and it's a simple flight in Europe. The issue is that the auto fill was on my computer, and of course, sometimes you have to fill the information a couple times. So I guess I was filling it in the third time or second time. Autofill on the Chrome went through, and it made Devin's name, Devin O'Halloran,
Instead of Devin LeBree. We don't have the same
instead
last
of
name.
Devin LeGree, and so that turned out to be a huge pickle because
we
Go ahead,
couldn't
yeah.
check. I usually check us in. I couldn't check us in online because my last name was wrong, but I was like, okay, it's fine, we'll get to the airport. We actually, that night, our flight was at, this was like first year Keith and Dev, our flight was at 6 a.m, but we were like, we're not going to pay for like we have to be there 3 hours before. We're just going to sleep at the airport that night. So we went to the
Yeah, that was a
airport the
rough
night
night.
before. It was not a big airport, it was tiny, but so I was like, I'll just go to the desk and talk to them. And the lady was like,
This is in Greece.
no, you can't change it. Like, no. And I was like, we've been together for like, this meant 10 years. Like, she's like, are you married? And I was like, no, but like, we could be like, at this point, we weren't married yet. We could be like common law or whatever.
We've been together for 10 years.
She was like, no. And also she's like, I need proof that you're married. And I was like, we need to carry around our marriage certificate then. Anyways, moral of the story is I had to then buy a new flight in order, because we were it was one of our first partnerships too. So we were like, we need to get to Croatia.
And you know what the lady said? She's like, let me see if there's seats available.
The flight might be booked, so you might not be able to get on this airplane.
It's like,
That's like what she said to me, and
we know there's one.
I was
is
like,
one, at
I
least.
am this seat. Like,
I am that booked
book
seat.
it on top of myself. Like,
That was ridiculous. That was expensive.
Yeah, she ended up being able. There was another seat available. I sat in my original seat anyways, but so we had to pay for an extra ticket.
That was a pickle.
That was probably our biggest one. So always
Crazy.
double check when you're filling in the information that you have it correct.
Yeah,
I think that might have started my anxiety with booking flights. So now I just let
it. Definitely.
Yeah, totally 100%. And I mean, from a parent's point of view, especially a parent who's like a co-parent, I have to be like so careful that everything is like 1,000% right, because I could literally end up at an airport with 3 kids by myself and not being able to travel because of a mistake. And clearly I can't have that happen. That would be really disappointing.
No,
Yeah.
exactly.
So yeah, I totally get that as a oops moment. But I bet you learned a valuable lesson.
Yeah. Funny how you have to go through those things to learn a lesson, huh?
Yeah, but so now it's like we're very much like double check every time we book anything.
Triple check or more.
Yeah, no, I get that 100%. All right, if your life was a movie, what would the movie title be?
Expect the unexpected.
I was gonna, yeah, or like we're still learning. Like we're,
Full-time travel noobs.
yeah. Like you think this many years in, like I still feel like we're in. Every time we go on a trip, I still feel like we're in a good way, still not like new backpacker, new beginnings, new places thing.
Yeah,
But
feel like a noob sometimes.
oh yeah, but I think we embrace that fact. We're like, it's okay that things aren't gonna go as planned, and we're gonna look silly doing things. That's
Yeah.
just the way it is.
There's a few titles in there for sure.
Yeah.
No, that makes a lot of sense. Do you guys feel like every time you like come home and go back out, like it's like brand new?
Yeah, you know, in a way, like we actually kind of get nervous again, like traveling. Oh, what's to come? Like unexpected. Like we're gonna go here now, and what's
Yeah. It's like a nervous excitement. Like
nervous excitement,
it's like
right?
a mixture of both.
Even after having traveled a fair bit, you know,
Hmm.
we still feel that way, right? So, yeah.
Yeah, and like coming home always, it's also really exciting coming home because
Oh yeah, I
we
do
love
like
we
coming
love
home.
Canada and we love our families and our community here as well. And so I guess it's kind of, I always say like we're trying our best to live kind of like the Hannah Montana lifestyle. Is what I say, like living the best of both worlds because we
Oh,
want to be
that's
there
funny.
for our friends' events and things, but like sometimes you do both sides of things. We do miss out because we're
Mm-hmm.
home for part of the year and we're away for a
The other
big chunk of the
big chunk,
year.
yeah. It's
So
hard to
like
do both.
you have to like sacrifice certain things. And we have YouTube friends who are away like the whole year, and we've seen like honestly we're so proud of them, but we've seen their channel
Take
like
off.
skyrocket, and we're like, maybe if we weren't, then we go home about twice a year, maybe if we
Yeah.
didn't do it as often, but
It's a trade-off, right? We don't want to be
and
here. We're not running away from from our family
no,
and friends, but
and we really love Canada,
I
so
do like the feeling of coming home and for coming home regular reasons, but also to have the fresh eyes. I love the fresh eyes. The being like, oh, look
Mhm.
at that, look at
yeah,
Canada,
like seeing Canada in a
look
new
at the
light.
roads, look at things, look at nature. You know, I just love
Yeah.
that feeling every time,
Mhm.
no matter
And it
how long.
reminds you of how good things are too. Like once you've been on a rough road or two, or you've been in like just such oppressive heat, you know, that you can't even think straight. And then you come home and you're like, huh, home
Yeah,
ain't so bad.
Yeah, literally,
honestly,
especially the heat these days.
absolutely,
It's like summer now. Here, we just got home, and people are like,
it's so hot
"So warm,"
here.
and we're like, "This is beautiful."
This is
Like,
so
Yeah.
like
comfortable.
we're like wearing like sweaters,
Like
and
pants or long sleeves, and
we're
it's
like,
like
"This is
so nice.
nice." Yeah.
But
Yeah.
absolutely, it's just
Totally,
travel the
totally.
world just to feel like home
So
is the best.
yeah, we're biased, but I think Canada's still our favorite country.
Mhm. Yep.
Aw, that's awesome. And you know what? That's a special thing to be able to travel the whole world and still say, do you know what? Actually, where I'm from is actually the best place I know. Yeah.
Yeah.
That
Yeah,
says a lot about Canada.
Yep.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
That's how we
Well, all
feel.
right. So because you guys are total foodies and I love watching your food tour episodes when you go and because I'm like taking notes. I'm like, oh, I've got to try that. I've got to try that. So, what is the local food that surprised you the most? Whether it's a good or bad, which was the one that surprised you the most?
I've got mine. I think
Hmm.
because we had it most recently. I actually really liked stinky tofu. I like after walking by. This is in Taiwan. There's something called stinky tofu. It might be in other places too. It's where we had it for the first time. There's stands are everywhere. You walk by, it honestly smells disgusting. Like it
Yeah.
smells gross, but it's like you read on any blog or read, you have to try stinky tofu while you're there. So I was like, okay, I like tofu. I'm gonna do it, and I actually really liked it. So
Yeah.
that I think surprised me.
I didn't so much.
Yeah, he didn't like it, but I
I
did.
yeah. I mean, there's good food everywhere, you know. And I was gonna say one thing that surprised me that I didn't like was recently I had an oyster omelet, and I had never had cooked oysters before, and it was kind of slimy. And oh my gosh, I was like not expecting to be like not liking it because I like everything.
Yeah,
I
you like
really eat
most
everything,
things.
and I was like, "Oh my, this is not great." And then I had also had a cockle in Singapore
Oh,
in a
okay.
soup, and the cockles are so strong, and it was like, you know, I had seafood in Canada and the Maritimes, and we've had some fresh seafood around the world, but this tasted strong of the sea, of like, yeah. So I was like, wow, okay, I guess I don't like this kind of thing very much.
So I guess these were things that we didn't like as much, but
But
for the
that's
most
super
part,
rare. That's
we
super
do.
rare.
I guess I liked the tofu. Those things Keith doesn't like, but for the most part, we do really like the food we have
Oh man,
everywhere.
it's so cool to try new things and be like, oh my gosh, we could make this at home. This is a simple recipe, you know. Mango sticky
Yeah.
rice from Thailand.
We
It's
still
like
have not made it at home, but that is something we love
we
is
always
mango
talk about,
sticky
oh, we'll make
rice.
mango sticky rice at home, but it's just
Yeah,
It's
it's
just so
from
simple, but
Thailand. They have it
so
in other
good.
places too, but it's
Yeah.
delicious. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah,
Awesome.
there's too much food we've had that's good. Honestly.
Yeah.
More good than bad by a
More
lot.
good than bad by far. But
Mhm.
that was just surprising moments.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay, so and this question is for so my youngest son, he's 11 now, and he has like a stuffy that he brings with him everywhere still.
Amazing.
And sometimes my older kids kind of make fun of him for still having it. So
Oh,
this question is in his honor, but what is your must-have comfort thing that you just have to have when you're traveling?
Oh, that's such a good one.
I think I have my answer.
Okay, what's
And I think I
yours?
know yours.
Okay, let's hear it.
Mine are earplugs.
Mm.
I think that those are really helpful. There's moments where we're on a bus in Sri Lanka recently, and I had to put my headphones in because it's just blaring music, and I'm getting a headache, and it's
And this is
like
sort of
earplugs.
undiagnosed, but Keith definitely has ADHD a little bit. And so I think sound like honestly in a great way.
Overstimulation.
But so sometimes he needs to really, oh, sorry, our family has dogs. We're staying with our family right now. But so
Yeah.
sometimes he very much needs to like
Yeah,
decrease the stuff. So his sunglasses, I would say too.
sunglasses and earplugs are huge on my hat or bandana, blocking the
Yeah.
sun. But yeah, the earplugs at night too, like blocking off barking dogs, for example, which there are a lot of and
And
stuff.
around the world, yeah.
But yeah, those are comfortable for sure. Like those help.
What do you think mine is? And then I'll say what I think.
Yours is your Kindle.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
is. I think for me, being able to like the books I read are very much like fictional books, whatever it is, but not realistic. And for me, it's just like going in, whether we had an amazing day or not so great day, being able to like immerse myself in another world, just is very
Hmm.
comforting for me. And it also can help me fall asleep if we're jet lagged or I'm struggling to fall asleep. So,
And we use that to like get away too. We've read Harry Potter together, and
mhm,
I mean,
mhm. Which was like a
I have a
comforting
Kindle
book for me
too,
as a
so we're
kid.
both reading sometimes on our day off. Like, it's we don't count it as a screen. So it's like, say if we're having a screen-free afternoon, still a Kindle, it's still a screen, but it's not. So we're
Yeah.
reading. So
And
no
then
screens. Walk away. We're reading, and it's nice.
on a different note, you can tell your son like I don't have it when we're traveling anymore, but I had a blanket that I still have in my room at my parents' house. Like it's in a box because I want to give it to one of my kids when I'm older. But I had a blanket. It was called Blankie, and I took it everywhere with me, and I loved it so much. And it was like that comfort thing for me.
Hmm.
So I know exactly how he feels, and I think I didn't do the kind of traveling I'm doing then when I'm little, but I think it's really cool that he's able to bring it with him and travel with it.
That
So
is cute.
and
Yeah.
it's nice to have a little piece of home with you when you're traveling. So there's no shame there at all.
Absolutely. Absolutely agreed. All right, coming to the end of this one, very close. But what is one destination that absolutely tested your patience?
I think two,
Morocco.
Morocco, and spoiler, in our new coming up, we recently went to Indonesia and there was a lot of traffic in a one particular place that we talk about. So
Hmm.
that's in a future episode. But Morocco, because I think it was just out of COVID and people were very much
More
more
aggressive,
aggressive with their
salesy.
sales stuff, which we
Hmm.
weren't used to. And
In your
then
face, which you got used to.
recently, like I said, in an episode to come, we went to Bali and the traffic was like nowhere we've ever experienced. And
Yeah.
that was a bit
It
frustrating,
was frustrating in certain ways, and also just being around the busyness of Bali.
which
That's
we didn't expect, but that'll come in future episodes. So get excited for that.
and then Morocco
Very
too, like
good.
lots of crazy driving and like it was
I
just.
would agree with both of that.
Also,
Too.
Vietnam has some pretty wild driving, and that's tested my patience in times where it's like we're on this bus, we're zooming down the road, and I'm like, there's a bunch of people in here, and you're not driving very safe, and I'm about to get angry with the driver, but I got to hold myself back. Yeah.
Yeah, driving is definitely a different thing when you are abroad.
Hmm.
I mean,
Mhm.
I find like as much as we complain about the drivers here in Canada,
Hmm.
right? Everybody kind of more or less follows the rules.
Yeah,
Like you
there's
may
pretty rigid.
speed or you may cut somebody off or whatever not, but it's not like some other places where it's just like the rule is you get where you're going, everybody else kind of be damned.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
And that was definitely before we started traveling. That was something we had to get used to for
Hmm.
sure.
Yeah, just waiting on long bus rides or crazy car rides that
Yeah.
tests your patience a lot. Or waiting in line for a ferry and you're just sweaty, backpack on your back, and you're like, okay, I'm fine, everything's good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure. Okay, last one in this section. If you could give your past self one piece of advice, what would it be?
That's a good one. I think for mine, like kind of going with this, the theme we've talked about a bit throughout this video or this podcast is, um, expect the unexpected, but also be okay with change. The main thing for me is being okay with change and that things are not going to always work out as you planned them. And that's okay. Because I think that was what change was always something I struggled with. And traveling has taught me that change is
Mm-hmm.
inevitable, in life, change is inevitable, and that sometimes change can bring about really amazing things. And so I would say that is my piece of advice, is that change is not a bad thing.
Yeah. No, it's true. I don't know. Like like just relaxed. Like uh take it easy. Like don't overthink it.
Take it
Take it easy. Like
easy.
honestly, don't overthink so much. Things happen. Don't get worked up. Like just go with the flow a little more. And then also take it easy, mix with like just do it. If you're thinking about something or action oriented, just go do what you're thinking about doing.
Mhm.
You know, and don't overthink things.
I love
Yeah.
that. That's very, very
Mm.
cool. I love it a lot.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm gonna bring this in. We're just at the hour mark, so we're gonna park this jet here in a couple of seconds. But a couple more questions that I want to ask you guys is, so you guys, like you said, you have just arrived home, and you've still got episodes to come and all that kind of stuff, and you're planning on going kind of back out eventually and such like that. So, what does success look like for you guys in this season of your lives in travel? And has what you feel is successful, has that definition changed over time?
I definitely think
Hmm.
the definition of what success has changed for us because, um, like, again, this is more talking about the business side of things in YouTube, and that is that with YouTube, you can always strive for more.
Always want
You
more,
can
get
always,
more.
like, there's no like
There's no limit.
finish line really. And I think something now that because we want to keep pushing for more and make this like he said at the beginning, when we're home too, we do still have to work. Traveling costs a lot of money, so like it'd be really, we are full-time content creators and that we're doing this all the time, but it's not yet our full income. We do make money from it, but we still have to do other things as well to make money. So the ultimate goal would be for it to be our full-time careers. And so we're still very much pushing for that. But in the meantime, so like, again, us getting, if we get a really cool partnership, something maybe in our beginning times we've been so ecstatic about, but now we're like, yeah, this is part of, like, we have to get these in order to keep going, or like
Hmm.
that kind of thing. But we do have to look back and be like, it's still amazing that we just did this and are
Yeah.
working with this awesome company. And so I think that's something that has changed, is it's more like we expect it of ourselves because we're like, we need to do this, versus at the beginning it was like, oh my god, we just got this partnership, this is
Yeah, a
incredible.
little harder on yourself,
Where
but
I
like
think
you
we're
expect
harder
it.
on ourselves now than we were at the beginning.
I think like success has changed in a way for me too, thinking about it. I think I'm at a point where I want us to just, instead of bending to the will of YouTube and content creation, all that and overthinking, just to do what we want,
Mm-hmm.
mainly, chiefly, and pursue our interests in travel and make it work that way.
Because I
And
think,
then YouTube comes along afterwards, maybe, maybe not.
and by YouTube we mean like the YouTube algorithm and stuff. What we
Yeah,
do, we want, like, we're not talking about our community. We love our community, and I think why people follow us is because we're very genuine. And you, like, I think you can tell if there's something we're doing that we're enjoying, or it's
yeah.
like we want to be doing it. People want to watch our videos because they want to visit these places, or they want to see it through our eyes, not
Join
because
us, yeah.
we feel like we have to do it, right? And so that's what we like. We also realize, like, people, you want to watch it because of the excitement and the enjoyment. And so we want to do things that we're really excited about because we want to be able to share those moments with our community.
And not necessarily because they might do well or not, but
Yeah.
just
We're like, for
yeah.
a little bit, like, we're kind of gone away for that, but for a little bit we were like, should we do these things because they do well on YouTube, or should we do these things because we want to? And it needs to be because, again, we're doing this to travel and share the world, not because of what YouTube wants.
Yeah.
So it's kind of it's a tricky one.
No, I get it. And as a smaller YouTuber, I mean, you guys have got what, about 20,000 something odd subscribers, you know. So, you know, I look up to you guys. I'm like, oh, I want people to notice me too, right?
Yeah.
But then, do you do that at the expense of your core and your values, right?
Yeah.
Or do you just wait for those people to find you doing what you're already doing? So I totally
Yeah,
get that.
exactly.
It's
And
a long
so,
game.
yeah, it's definitely, if people are also watching this or listening to this more for the YouTube side of things, you have to do it because you love it and
Yeah.
because it's something you're passionate about, because it's not an easy road. Like, and you see those people that are really big, and like we're still like considered as like a
Small channel.
smaller channel compared to a
Yeah.
lot of big channels out there.
Yeah.
And you have to do it because you're very passionate about it. And that's, again, we love to travel and share our experiences with the world. So that's why we do it.
Mhm.
No, and that makes a lot of sense and definitely segues me perfectly into the next question that I had, which is, how do you guys handle the burnout or the creative ruts while you're traveling and while you're just creating? Like, I can imagine too, being home now and you're thinking, okay, what content are we going to create while we're here, you know,
Yeah.
while also recharging our batteries so that we can
Mhm.
go out and do the next phase.
Yeah. It's kind of hard to recharge our batteries when we're home. We're so busy.
Yeah, I would say like two things when we're away. Some making sure to like give ourselves like a day or two to
Mhm.
first of all do something. Like, it was actually reaching out to, we have a few other like YouTube friends, so reaching out to them and speaking to them helps a lot. Also, they
'Cause
were
they-
the ones who told us to make sure you do things that you don't always film.
for yourself.
So like do like a day at the beach if you're somewhere, or go for a hike that you don't film, those kind of things. And then a family friend of ours coined this, but she calls it a duvet day.
Mhm.
And when you're traveling long term, like she's like, at home people have duvet days
All the
all the
time.
time. It's like a day, like it could be a
A
Sunday.
Sunday or Saturday or
You
whenever
stay
you're
at
on
home, maybe you do
vacation.
some laundry, you watch some TV, you like sleep in, it's just like a day for you. Whereas when you're traveling, you don't do that as much. So like
Yeah, you
taking a
feel guilty
day
not going out and
and
exploring.
seeing. So, but sometimes it's okay to have a day just like in your room or in the apartment you're staying in, that kind of thing. So having those, for me personally, even though it's busy, coming back to Canada recharges my battery. Like
Mhm.
that's something that like kind of, because it gets you excited to be back out traveling, and then also the people in our lives being at home and seeing them really helps me.
Yeah, I think guilt-free, like days of us being quiet, watching TV, not filming, having our own time, but also like that means planning it into your schedule as well. So we know, like we've gotten better at it, but we know, okay, you know what? At this point, we're gonna need a couple days of just like quietness and maybe like a half work day or a quarter work day,
Yeah,
or
because
just like,
that's the thing. Like we say that, but we always end up working a little bit. But so we
yeah,
try to be like, okay, well at least
we'll
we're
slow
gonna have a
down
movie
here.
night.
We'll have a movie night. We'll slow down for
Yeah.
these like 4 nights here, and then we'll keep moving. But like
Yeah, like
slow
to have
things
it,
down.
like do a bit of work, have some time off, exercise. Also for us, exercise is really big. We sometimes
Huge.
forget that,
Hmm.
and then we're like, why are we grumpy? Oh, because we haven't exercised in a few days.
Or even like regularly, like a routine.
Yeah.
And like sometimes just like having a cafe that you've been to down the road or a restaurant that you know is good, not having to make a decision about it
Yeah,
because
like
you know you're gonna go there for dinner, that helps and that's
yeah,
comforting and that gives us like time off in a way because
like
less decisions.
if we're somewhere for like 4 nights, we'll probably eat at the same restaurant at least
And
two
it's
of
like
those nights.
it's done, it's safe, it's the same,
Because yeah, we know it's safe.
decision's done.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. And kind of my last question of the evening for us. And this is kind of your chance to talk directly to the audience. Do you have any advice for, and I mean, not just Canadian, but for anybody who's watching, do you have advice for anybody who wants to take that first big leap into
Mhm.
kind of global travel, maybe what they should do or how they could go about it, or, you know, just do it or whatever
Like
not? What would you say to somebody who's watching?
I would say the
Yeah,
first thing, exactly what you
it's
just
honestly
said,
what you said.
is
Yeah.
just do it. And then what just do it means, if that means like, okay, this is where I want to go, I need to save up this money, start giving yourself like a little savings plan. Like you'd be surprised how much like Canada is expensive, honestly, compared to a lot of other places in the world. So if you like stop going to Starbucks once
People
a week
spend a
and
lot of money at home doing
put
stuff.
that money into that, or instead of going out for a drink, have drinks out at front. Like, save. There's so many little ways you can save money. So that'd be the first thing, if that's the step you're at.
Bit of willpower there.
If you
Yeah.
have those funds and you are just worried about making that leap, or you don't want to solo travel, we have met so many solo travelers who are having the best time. You meet people along the way, so you won't be alone. There's wonderful hostels every place really that we've traveled. And yeah, the biggest thing is just do it.
Yeah, if you just want to just go travel, then and you feel like you're gonna be by yourself, exactly, you're gonna make friends. Like, solo travelers are never alone, honestly.
Yeah.
In terms of making videos or capturing your adventures, yeah, you just gotta start. Honestly, you can't really question the method or how you're like your strategy of filming, and until you've just put out a bunch of stuff, until you figure out what
works.
what
And
works
the
for you.
last thing I want to mention too is, if you're a couple, like, we've met honestly more from Europe and other places because it's easier to take time off work. But if you're considering like taking a sabbatical or a leave of absence from your job, and you're able to do that, first of all, talk to your boss. But honestly, we've met actually a lot of couples that have been doing this, and no one has ever regretted it. Like, you're never going to regret going on a trip. Like, it's
Yeah.
yeah.
It's gonna be a cool adventure.
Again, like you said, just do it.
Yeah.
The world is also a lot smaller than you think it is. People are nice, and there's nothing to be afraid of. Like, obviously, still be careful.
You gotta be careful.
You gotta still be aware and careful, but for the majority, people are nice.
Yeah, safe travels.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that resonates a lot with me personally, and I hope that resonates with everybody who has been watching as well. I mean, we got a lot of news media and stuff like that, and we tend to use it to kind of, or the internet or social media, and we hear kind of things that reinforce what we already think about places. And it's not until you go to these places that you start to realize that, oh, this place is actually really awesome. These people are very different than what I thought. This place isn't like this or isn't like that, or, is more so this than I thought, or whatever not. So, I would echo the, just do it, right? Get out there, go travel, there are lots of places that you can go to that are just not that expensive. Like you were saying, I mean, traveling around East Asia, or some of the safer places in Africa, or Middle East, can be way cheaper, on a per week or per month basis than living here. You'd be so surprised. So if you're thinking that, oh, I can't travel because I only have $1,000 to live on, or whatever not, you might find that, yeah, you've got to splurge on the ticket itself, but once you're there, you can actually do a fair amount of living on $1,000.
Absolutely.
No, we spend less money traveling than we do if we were living in, like, renting an apartment in Canada and just living,
pretty
buying
much.
groceries, and
Our
all this
expenses are
stuff.
pretty much
A bit lower than what they would be if we were living at home.
Yeah. I just want to add to what you just said, that the world's actually like a really positive and good place. Like, although it doesn't seem that way, it really is. Everyone in the world just wants the same things. Everyone just wants to, like, have purpose, eat food with their family, and be happy, like, regardless of where you are. So, like, obviously there's some negative stories, but they'll stand out because you hear about them. But the world's pretty much all the same, and it's quite safe, honestly.
At least in our experiences.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, and I 100% agree with that. I mean, I've been to places, and like I said, before I was married, I've traveled a fair bit, and I think you're exactly right that most people, they want to get up in the morning, they want to make a living, they want to, be happy, healthy, fed, and be able to go to sleep safely the next night. That's what most people want, just like we do here.
We're all on the same page. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's exactly true. And I think that is a perfect, very positive way to put a cap on this interview on exactly that note. So, Keith and Dev, thank you so much for joining us. This has been an amazing conversation. I really love it. And I hope maybe in the future we can do it again. I know you guys are here at home base for a little while, but you guys are going to be going out again. So, maybe in a year or two we can, see if your opinions on everything have totally changed and now the world is just all crap.
Yeah, hopefully not. But
Hopefully it's not like that.
we've really enjoyed this conversation too, so we'd love
Yeah, we've
to
had a
chat
lovely
again.
chat. Thank you
Mhm.
so much. Thanks to the Wonder Crew, honestly. This is
Yeah.
amazing.
Absolutely. This has been so great. And to those who are watching, I would like to say definitely follow Keith and Dev at Keith and Dev. Very easy to remember. If you forget, it's their names. Follow them at Keith and Dev on YouTube and on Instagram as well. And just for me, I've got to let you know that we have got some great episodes coming up on the Globetrotters Guide as well. Next month, we're going to be chatting with Nicole from Nicole's Travel Tips. And I would call her the queen of airport lounges and of using your travel points for upgrades and stuff like that. Watching her videos, you're going to get lots of insight into how to use your credit cards and the points that you get from those to make your travel just better and amazing, or to travel more. So if you've ever wondered how you can best save some money for your next trip or on your next trip, this one is for you. Coming up in September is a super special episode because me and the crew will have just come back from Jamaica, and we are going to do a live stream. And as an extra special bonus, I am not going to host it. So my good friend and fellow YouTuber Alicia is going to take over the hosting duties and guest host a very special episode of the Globetrotters Guide, where me and the kids are going to be on the chair and she is going to ask the questions. So it is going to be a great episode and a lot of fun. And of course, we've got some more coming up, finalizing some more episodes for into October and so on. So we're looking forward to those as well. Anyway, like I've mentioned before, please remember to like and subscribe to this channel as well. As of recording this, I am at 398 subscribers. I would love to get to 400 subscribers and beyond over the weekend. So if you're watching from Keith and Dev's channel, please do me a favor, subscribe here. Let's put me up over 500. That would make me so happy. Anyway, also make sure to check out our Patreon, bit.ly/join117, and our Patreon at patreon.com/thewondercrew. Thank you so much for joining us today. And of course, until next time, keep exploring.